Hello everyone and happy Halloween. I don't know if you remember me. I was just on the show General Hospital up until a few months ago. It's me, Sabrina, or the ghost of Sabrina Santiago. So I decided to come down for Halloween to see all the happenings in Port Charles, and I'm going to tell you what I saw today. And let me tell you, when you live in Port Charles, you don't realize all the drama, but when you watch it, there's a lot of drama. So let's get right to it. At Windermere, Valentine apparently owns Windermere. What is happening? Seriously, what is happening here? And you know, Valentine's there at the party. I wish I could have come back, but oh well. So Dante pulls out his gun and he calls the commissioner, and then Ava comes in because she is great on timing. So he says he's a free man, we'll see, and he has a document and they think it's forged, and he says he was acting in self-defense when it came to Nicholas, and Alexis is his sister, and I think I knew that in the back of my head, but like I'm glad that they said it so you don't have to figure out the whole Cassadine tree of family tree. That's how you say it. It's been a long day apparently. Hey, I've been dead for like a month. Leave me alone. She doesn't care that she's his sister, and he wants to meet the rest of the family. Oh, isn't that lovely? No, it's not. So Jordan calls back and confirms the Grecian authorities did drop the charges. It's very noisy up here in the clouds, and they don't care if the authorities think he's innocent or not, because they lived through it. And he justifies all of his actions and says that when he shot Kevin, he wasn't really shooting Kevin. Kevin got in the way of a warning shot. So Kevin thinks the U.S. can still hold him on kidnapping charges. What is happening over there? But Alexis says no, the document dismisses all U.S. charges as well. Excuse me while you're harvesting corn up here in heaven where they harvest corn. So Laura mentions Anna's name, and that makes Valentine flinch a little bit. And he says, like, look, this is my home. And, he has the document Nicholas signed, handing everything over to him. And Valentine, like, low-key threatens Ava about her being the only witness and how inconvenient that is. Now, I might not be a huge fan of Ava, but I can't. Oh, my goodness. Look at what I'm competing with over here. Look at this ridiculousness. This is what happens when you film outside, in heaven, where I am. So Valentine also intends to live at Windermere because why not? And also, he apologizes for what happened in Greece. So obviously everything's okay, right? It must be his childhood abandonment issues, and he wants to redeem himself. And everyone has a past, and he offers them a few days to process because he's staying at the hotel and leaves. And by the way, in case you're saying, hey, Sabrina didn't wear glasses at the end. She only wore glasses the first year she was on General Hospital. I would like to tell you that when you're up in heaven, you get your glasses back because no one wants to wear contacts in heaven. And yes, I used that same line in that other special announcement video, but it is one of the favorite lines I've ever said, and I'm getting tattooed across my forehead. So anyway, at Crimson, Charlotte found Nina, and she's just wandering alone. Why is this? And she wants to find her mom. And Griffin comes rushing in, and turns out she got on an elevator without him, and security has been searching the building, and it would have looked really, really bad if she was found with Nina. And not by any fault of Nina's. So he says that she's his daughter after Nina asks, and Nina, she hasn't had a chance to talk to Maxie and Nathan, so that's kind of news to her because she thought Charlotte was her niece. But Nina has a bunch of costumes for Charlotte to pick out, and Griffin tells Nina that Claudette lied about Charlotte's paternity, and she said she was hoping that Nathan and Maxie would let her look after her, but oh well. So he tells her that Claudette is missing. They don't know what happened to her. The last anyone knows, she got on a plane to Calgary, and she tells him to check out the party upstairs, and Charlotte picked out like a nurse/doctor costume. Like father, like daughter, right? So at the Metro Court, Franco's a mime, and he makes like a really great mime too. Like, I'm not even being sarcastic. He looks like a great mime. And Kiki is, I'm sorry, but the best way to put this is a sexy skeleton. That's literally the best way to put it. And she thinks about Halloween last year and how she was such a mess, and she was pushing Morgan away, even though, you know, she wanted him, but he was at that whole mess with Darby. I'm thinking, was that only last year? Because that feels like forever ago. And he says not to make the same mistake with Dylan. Elizabeth's with the boys, by the way. Never mind, she's there. So Franco's like, and she's there with Jason and Jake. Dun dun dun. So Jake is with her, they're with Jason. I just said that, but I forgot I wrote it. So now Franco is a sad mime. And he takes an issue with it, obviously, because why wouldn't he? No, I'm saying that much sarcastically, because seriously, why are you taking an issue with this? So she says that they did the rounds for trick-or-treating, and Jason's picking Jake up to bring him to the Quartermains. And he's like, oh yeah, tell Monica you're welcome for saving Gemma Hospital. And Jason's like, and he's throwing a bit of a fit, Franco, not Jason, and it's a bit uncalled for, if I do say so myself, and I can say that because I'm in heaven, so I can judge people now. So he says he's always going to assume the worst. This is Franco saying that. Sorry, I'm new to this. That he's always going to assume the worst, and she doesn't like his jealous side, obviously, because it's not attractive on anyone, and he would like her to be more jealous, and that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. That's, no, bad Franco. So he feels like their relationship is so controlled, and with Nina there were so many extremes, and I'm like, that's not a good thing. So also at the Metro Court, Dylan is Elvis, and he takes a picture of Kiki, and then they start talking, and she judges up the Morgan stuff, and he tells her to forget what Michael said, and he points out that she tried to stick it out. Like, she just feels like she bailed on him, but she didn't. Like, she did stick it out for like a really long time. And she feels disloyal and selfish and shallow, and she asks him to go because it brings up all those things. Well, Griffin and Charlotte come at the party, and Charlotte starts screaming that she wants her mom, and like just literally screaming, and he's trying to calm her down, and she says she hates him. So Elizabeth comes over because she could deal with a tantrum in a second. She knows this stuff. So she talks to her and is a little behind on Griffin being her father, but you know, she just rolls with it. Oh, the harvester's gonna come back. I don't know why it's harvesting season in heaven. She says that, you know, she's a nurse. Charlotte says, you know, I'm a nurse, and Liz goes, oh, I am too, and so am I, woo! I'm wearing a scrub top, but it's very cold, so I have to wear a jacket. So Elizabeth says, oh, I work with your dad, and he's a doctor, and, you know, she offers to show around the hospital when it, you know, reopens, if that's okay with her dad. So Charlotte has ice cream, and she's happy now, and honestly, that would make me happy too. And Griffin will explain the details tomorrow when they're at work, because that's when we talk about our personal lives. No shade. Hey, I worked at General Hospital many a year, and it's where I spent most of my personal time as well. I miss Felix. Like, he would have been great to see on Halloween. I feel like him and Donnie are killing it right now. Anyway, so he says basically her mother's gone, and Elizabeth can relate to that because one of her sons is an absentee father, no shade. So Elizabeth gives him some pointers. You know, she needs a routine, a nap, because that's when you're going to get a tantrum, and that she doesn't hate him. She's just saying that. She's a kid. And she asked if they can, so then Charlotte asked if they can go home, and he's like, yes, we can. So Kiki and Franco are back talking while Franco's throwing another fit because Elizabeth is talking to Griffin. Oh, she's talking to the priest. Call the police. So he's upset, and Kiki says that, look, they're just two single parents talking, like, just leave it alone. And he says it looks like more to me, and Kiki's like, look, women don't like it when they're men, or it even goes the other way, okay? You don't like it when your partner is being insecure and possessive. And he's like, oh, and she's like, you know, that's like what Morgan did. And he's like, oh yeah, and Morgan had nothing to worry about there. And she's taken it back and leaves because that was so rude and uncalled for. Even if Morgan was alive, that was rude and uncalled for. So Franco comes over to Liz and Griffin and makes it weird, and he brings up for him being a priest, and, you know, how did this happen, and he makes some inappropriate comments, and Elizabeth kind of smooths it over, and like Griffin knows what he's dealing with there, and he and Charlotte leave. I mean, they were leaving anyway, so it's not like because of Franco. So Elizabeth pulls Franco aside and asks what's going on, and he thinks there was cause for concern, and he feels like they keep getting set back, and that there's no form to them, and is it real, because they haven't really had a real connection yet. And she asks if he's talking about sleeping together, and at first he's like no, and then he realized he kind of is talking about that a little bit. Back at Crimson, Dylan tells Nina about Kiki, and Nina says, look, she's having a really hard time, and she'll come to you. Dylan sees the baby name book, and she says, like, she's letting go of that dream, but every time she does, like, something else happens. And tonight a little girl came to her, but like she thought she was her niece, but it turns out she's not. So yeah, tonight a little girl came to her, and she thought she was her niece, but she's not, and she's not related to Charlotte at all. At Casa Corinthos, Sonny is talking with a pretty messed up Morgan, and he says he's sorry, and Morgan forgives him. And so this isn't a hallucination, but wait, there's more. He's not just a kid trick-or-treating. When I say kid, I say approximately 17-year-old guy, and amazingly he's kind of put off when Sonny hugs him. So I've kind of lost sympathy for this kid, because he was dared to go to the Godfather's house, and Sonny grabs him because he doesn't exactly think that's funny, especially in light of recent events. And then the kid calls him crazy, which goes over just about as well as you think it does. So Sonny asks him his name, and Eli McCaffrey. Jason gets involved, and the kid bolts, obviously, because Sonny's like throwing him around the house a little bit. So Sonny tells Jason he thought the kid was Morgan, and that everything would be okay, and but Morgan's dead because of him. And Sonny tells Jason to make sure the kid gets home safe, that he didn't mean, the kid didn't mean any harm, but he thought he was Morgan. So Jason has progress. Tony Kristoff, there's a match for the chemical makeup, but it could have been anyone for the bomb. And the cops are trying to link it to Sonny, and Sonny doesn't care. It doesn't change anything. It's his responsibility. So now Hallucination Morgan shows up, who looks just like, not, I mean, you know what I mean. So Jason snaps Sonny out of it, and he asks how much he's had to drink. Not enough. And he asks if he's taking his medication. So he says he's a bad man with failings, but he's not a coward, and he has to live with that, and he may not be sober, but he will be sane. And Jason tells him to get some sleep. He'll keep watch downstairs. But Hallucination Morgan tells him to send Jason away. And I think Hallucination Morgan wants him to kill himself. And it's not good, to say the least. So end scene. Dylan comes back to the party. He gives Kiki a picture of her smiling, and he wants it to be a reminder to find some happiness, even in all this, because she's capable of that, and she will find a way to forgive herself. Franco has real feelings for Elizabeth, and he wants to know that they are real, the two of them, and he needs constant reassurance, which sounds like so much fun. Literally run now if this good. This is what that relationship is going to be like. Run the opposite direction right the second. So she says she wants to get to know him, really know him, and they kiss, and I'm like, oh sweetie, you're not running. Ava tells Sam and Alexis that she saw Valentine kill Nicholas. She knows what happens, and she wouldn't doubt that Valentine's going to try to get rid of anyone in his way. Kevin checks in with Laura. She's not okay, obviously, and Valentine thinks they're all going to get along no matter what. Been there. Lulu thinks of Griffin, and Dante's already called him to let him know what's going on. Griffin promises Charlotte he'll keep her safe. Valentine comes into Nina's office, and Sonny tells Jason to go home to Sam. He's gonna go get some sleep. Jason says Max is outside and on his phone, and his phone is always on him if he needs him. They hug, and then Hallucination Morgan approves, which makes me worried. And Sonny calls Diane. Sonny calls Diane. He needs her expertise. Oh my goodness! It's like I have one sentence left and I can't get it out. He needs her expertise, and he wants to get his affairs in order, and her next call better be to Jason, because if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. I don't care if it goes against client confidentiality. I can't think of the name, but Jason's also a client, so that kind of works together, right? Alright, thank you so much for watching today's recap. I hope you enjoy my little costume I got going on here. I have some pictures on my Twitter too. You can't really appreciate my scrub top. Let me make the mist go down a little bit. One second. Alright, I got rid of the mist. So like I have the scrub top that she wore. I'm pretty sure she was wearing this color when Paul strangled her, unfortunately. Oh, bruises. I can put bruises around my neck. Oh, I missed an opportunity, guys. Well, that would have been too morbid. Because I really just want to be Sabrina, but it didn't feel like enough of like a costume rather than just like a cosplay, so I added the ghost part to kind of Halloween it up a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow for more General Hospital, and I won't look like this. I'll have my normal skin tone back. I won't be blue. I felt like white would have been too ghostly, and they didn't have white. So, well, it was blue. Alright, now I'm just rambling, but I'll really be blue in 2 seconds if I don't get back in the warm. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great Halloween, and now I'm going to go eat some more Butterfingers. Alright, bye!